I went to Zimmerscheidt School from 1945 to 1948.
I went there 2 years. I started in 1946 and went there in 1947. It closed in 48, and that's when I moved to the Columbus School.
Yeah, I went to school a year earlier than my age to start with, and I think it was 1927 when I went.
Why did I go there? Well, that's the only school I go to school. I was 6 years old and I had to go to school. And that was the only school around. And we had to walk between 3 and 4 miles, maybe pretty close to 4 miles. There was hardly no vehicles them days, horse and buggy days, of course, old Model T days, and that's all. And we used our feet and walk.
We had a bicycle, believe it or not, and Russell would pump me on the bicycle up to Prousey's house, which was about halfway. Then he would pump Laverne the rest of the way to school. I think he kind of was sweet on her maybe a little bit or something.
And we walked to school from our house to Zimmerscheidt School, and we walked through the woods. The trail that the cows and animals walked on, we walked that.
A normal school day at Zimmerscheidt would be to arrive at school. If we arrived there earlier than 8 o'clock, we would play outdoors until the teacher rang the bell. All the students would come inside and take their seats, and the teacher would then ask us to stand to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. After that, we would be seated and start our day.
Well, the first thing of all, when I started, I couldn't speak English. First thing I had to learn to speak English. Me and Delma Washington were the first graders, only two. And when I wanted to go to sleep, I just laid my head down and go to sleep. So I was sleeping. School was time to go home, 4 o'clock. She come and woke me. She said, "Henry," she said, "your time to go home." I jumped up and right away went for my lunch bucket, and I was limping. She said, "Well, Henry, what's the matter?" I said, "I couldn't speak English good yet." I said, "My beans are steep." My legs were stiff, went to sleep. I said, "My beans are steep."
Each teacher taught all 7 grades when they were there. We only had one teacher at a time.
One class was doing math or whatever. She would probably be with the younger students, helping them read or do their math or whatever subjects they were supposed to be doing. And then about 10 o'clock we had a recess period. All go outdoors and play and use the restrooms.
Always had just a single outhouse, no double doors, just no door at all. And it was facing the other way to the woods. And the girls were over further. They had double doors, bigger one, and it was facing the woods school. And I didn't like the idea there was no door on it, so I just went to the girls' restroom. So then the girls, I guess, told Miss Tenney about it, and she told me, "Henry, you're a little boy." She says, "You need to go to the boys' restroom, not to the girls. That's for the girls."
We had no water well over there, and we carried, 2 people were assigned to go to one of the neighbor's house and get a bucket of water, and they carried that bucket of water on a stick, maybe like a cut off broom handle or something, where 2 people could carry that bucket of water between them.
Well, we had a wood heater, and we would, the extra wood that we had outside, we would build us a little house out of the wood pile. That's where we'd sit and eat our lunch.
And then the bell would ring and we'd come back into the classroom and again back into the studies. And some days we'd have like music, but I think we called it sing-along in those days. And the whole schoolroom, grades 1 through 8, would participate. And it was lots of fun, especially during Christmas time. Zimmerscheidt closed in 1948, and the students were sent to bigger school districts like Columbus and maybe Fayetteville, some of those areas. It was just small. There were 4 children in a school. It was not sufficient for a teacher to drive all the way out to teach those few children.
And it was really hard. It was harder going into Columbus. It was, of course, it was more people. We were used to just being, it was just us. And it was a lot different with all the kids.
There would be a whole lot of difference. See, we had one teacher at Zimmerscheidt, and we had different teachers for different classes and different subjects in Columbus, and just followed the rules. Say, go to room this, go to room that, you know. I must have learned pretty well in Zimmerscheidt, because I didn't have, you know, having the German language, you run into some English problems when you go to the high school, and there was no such thing as talking German over there.
It was very important for me, for my children and my grandchildren, to know, to see where I went to school, and that it is a historical place, you know, and that I always tell everybody that's where I got so smart.